Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Wolverine Studios Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021 Developer Dynasty. We're very excited to be back with you again here on Tuesday night for our half-hour stream, taking a look at the newest improvements to the game over the past week. If you are not familiar with it, the game is in first access mode right now, which means you can go to our web store at www.wolverinestudios.com. You can pre-order, get a discount right now, and you will be able to download the latest beta build of the game. I am working on version 4 of the beta builds here. So we've had 3 versions released of the beta builds. 4. This is the 5th one, I guess. Those have been released in the forums, the updates. So if you haven't updated since the original one, make sure you go to our forums and grab the latest update. And I'm going to take you around a little bit of the stuff I've been working on this past week over the course of this stream. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, suggestions, feel free to post those in the chat box, and I'll be happy to respond to any of those. I'd be happy to show you anything that you'd like to see over the course of this stream. A huge thank you before we start to our followers who are greatly supporting our channel, as though we're just getting started here, a few months in to our streaming, and especially big thanks to our subscribers. Whether you have subscribed through your own or through the free subscription you can get if you are a Twitch Prime member and you have it linked to your Amazon Prime account, you can get one free subscription every month. So I appreciate the people who have used that subscription on us and continue to renew it every single month. So we've got a number of very interesting and additions, I think, this week. And at this stage, as we talked about before, it's nothing that's going to be earth-shattering new additions. Those are in the game already. You're well aware of that. We're just kind of plussing everything in the final weeks before release. The official release is scheduled right now for November the 19th. So time is running low to pre-order and get the opportunity to get your feedback in. There's still time where we can tweak things and change things, and some of those things are just exactly what you're going to see this week. So one of the first things is that always looking to make the game better from the user's perspective and making it a little bit easier to use. So I had a suggestion this week of somebody who didn't enjoy the D-League draft, and I understand that it takes time to go through and stuff like that. And I've just pulled up a league here that uses one of the roster mods. But the important thing is that we've added a change here on the D-League draft, so that now if you are not controlling a D-League team, or if you are not controlling your D-League affiliate, what it's going to do right now is skip right through the draft when I advance. So rather than going to the draft and having to click the buttons and watch through everything, I'm just going to click it once right here, and it's just going to process and move us along. So you'll be able to see that that take place in your once this build is out. You'll be able to see that. You'll just be able to skip right through that D-League draft. Again, if you want to manage your D-League affiliate, you can go on the roster page, and on the team options page, the team options drop box, there is a option here that says manage D-League affiliate roster. So you want to click that and turn that on, and you'll want to go to the depth page as well and choose the option to manage the D-League affiliate depth. So by doing those things, what you do is you really in essence are treating the D-League team as your true minor league team at that point, and you're in control of who's playing minutes down for the D-League, who even is on that roster. Of course you can always send your players down and they'll be on the D-League team, but if you take control of managing it while you're the general manager of the pro team, then you'll have the full control over that if you really want to kind of use it as like a farm system and try out different players down there. If you want to have that control, that's how you can do it. So we have that. That was not too difficult to implement. but I think it's a very worthwhile addition there. So I'm going to pull up a couple of other different leagues here and talk about some of the other things that are they're just additions that are going to make the game, I think, a little bit more, more user friendly. I think it's really our goal here at this point. The game looks great. It's super stable. It plays great. We're just looking to tweak anything we can and plus it just to make things better for you as a player. Breeze837 in the chat. Hello. Hey, Breeze. How's it going? Good to see you again every Tuesday. I know I count on Breeze to be here for us. So good to see you, Breeze. One new thing I've added to the trade screen this week is I've added a clear trade button. So again, it's kind of annoying if you put players in the trade and then it doesn't work out, and then you have to go back and click the X to pull the players out of the trade. So instead, I've added this little clear trade button. You just click that, and it will clear the trade right out there for you. So that should make things a little bit easier too. There's been some talk about trades too. Again, a little bit of confusion, I think, on how trades work or how you can get them to work. You can always mouse over this up here. It says trade block help, and it tells you that if you click in the column with the blocks, that will add or remove a player from your trade block. So if I click this button here and this icon lights up, it means that I've placed James Britton on the trade block. So what that will do is once he's on there over the course of the season, as you simulate the games out, you may get an email from a team offering you a trade, and then from that email box you click on the option to view the trade and you'll come back to the screen and you can decide what you want to do with the trade. If you don't want to wait for an offer to come in, you can always add a player to the trade. And again, I've added Britton here in the trade and left the trade box for the other team empty, and I can click get offer. So in this case, Dallas does not want to offer for this player at this time. That means that they may have some interest in him, but they don't have an offer to make right now. The AI is set up to make reasonable offers. So in this case, I'll pull up another team and see what kind of response we get. So again, Los Angeles does not want to make an offer at this time. That doesn't mean that they are not interested in the player. So in this case, this player is only a 2.5-star player and he makes a lot of money. So, they may not be interested in. But, we'll try Emerson Jackson. No offer at this time for him either. You can still go in and work out a trade with them, but the AI is not going to make a terrible lowball offer to you. It's going to make an offer that it feels it's winning on, obviously. I mean, just like you, when you make an offer, you're trying to win the trade too. So the AI is going to try to win the trade, but it's not going to waste your time with ridiculous offers. And it is difficult to match up offers sometimes because you have to deal with not only the team needs and the team plan that the AI is considering, but also the salary cap rules and things like that. So sometimes, if the team is not interested at all, they will probably give you a message saying that they are not interested in that player. And if they are, if they can make an offer that they think is a fair offer, they will make that offer. I've also had people suggest, well, could we have an option where you just click the button and get 29 responses at once? And I don't like that. I don't really like that idea. I think you're playing as a GM, so I think the game kind of needs you to go and look at the other teams, and find a team that you would make a reasonable trade to. So obviously, if this player Britton here, he's only a 2.5-star player. He makes $25 million, and let's see what his long-term salary. So he's got a player option for next year. So the contract isn't too bad because it's a 2-year deal probably. I would assume he'll take his $27 million in the next year. So that contract is possibly tradable. But I really think that you should look at the teams and find out who actually needs the player, and then work from there. And if you want to get the offer rather than making the offer, that's why we added the get offer option. But I do think that I don't I'm not in favor of the click a button and get 29 offers at once, or 29 we're not interested, or anything like that. So that's why it works this way. The get offer option is new in 2021. This didn't even exist before, but I think that's a good compromise for people who are looking for the AI to make an offer immediately, as opposed to waiting for the trade block, as without having the let's show every single offer from every single team. You do also have to consider the time in the season too. In this particular season, it's on October 18th, so it's right at the very start of the season. Most teams haven't even played any games yet in this particular save file. The teams are a little bit more hesitant to trade at the beginning of the season. As the season moves on, you get closer to the trade deadline, and they're more sure of where they're going to end up for that season. That's when they kind of move into being more willing to make offers as well, as they know that this year's not going to work out, and they're going to be a rebuilder, and they're going to have to trade off players now before the trade deadline. So the timing of the season also does impact your ability to make trades. Just for anybody who's wondering about that. So I want to give you a little bit of a look there. That was kind of a mini deep dive into the world of trading here. I don't know if we talked about this addition on the daily schedule screen. I know last stream we covered the new way of choosing what sim option you're going to do, which this option now gives you the number of days, and also clarifies how sim to date should work. So it's less confusing than before. But I've also added your upcoming games up here at the top of the screen, so you can see that I have upcoming games on the 18th versus Memphis, on the 21st at Milwaukee, and the 22nd at Minnesota. So I think that was a nice suggestion made to me by Chris from GM Games. So I think that helps you find where are your where your next games are without having to scroll through each day. And I think that makes just a little bit clearer for what's coming up on your schedule, and also for you to see if you have important games coming up that you might not want to sim past. Breeze asks, what are we talking about right now? I'm doing a summary of this developer Dynasty for a friend from GM Games Discord. Breeze, we're just kind of covering on the trade screen. We covered the new clear trade button addition. On the sim screen here, just recapping some of the improvements on this screen to make the simming a little bit more easier, and the addition of the upcoming games up here at the top of the screen. I'm going to switch over to the transactions page because we've added something here too as well. One thing we've taken away on the transaction page, as you see as I'll scroll down it, is all the empty spaces. So days where there are no transactions, now it will not list that date and list an empty space. We've also added a filter up here at the top to filter by transaction. So in this case, if I want to look at all the transactions, that's the default option. But you also have options now to look at any trades that were made, any teams that have signed or released players, the signings and recalls, so you can track the development league movement this way, and if there were any contractual things like options in the summer when you're doing the player options, the rookie options, or if anybody had a contract extension or something like that, it'll be there. So these filters here give you a way to break things down better, because I know just looking at the overall transaction report, it is daunting. There are a lot of transactions that go on from signings and sending players down and up from the D League. So if you just if you sim again, this particular sim is only like a couple of weeks, maybe a week into the season. I'll have it sim another week and see if anything big happens. But that way, if you want to see what the trades are, for the whole season, once you get through the trade deadline and stuff, there's probably been a number of trades made during that particular season. You can go to the transactions page and just click on the filter to show you just the trades. So again, there haven't been any trades yet in this particular sim that I was running, but these filters will let you find the things that you want pretty easily. Also, if you're looking for information on a specific team, there's a couple of different places you can go. On the dashboard page, you have your team news listed down here on the left, and that will be all of your team news items for the entire season. So when you go to the media screen and you click on the daily news, that's going to show you the news for every team that particular day. The season news shows you sort of the bigger, transactional news items for the year, or you might have the stories here about a player complaining about his playing time or demanding a trade from his team. So bigger stories get covered in the season news, and this becomes a season-long tracking of those stories. Whereas the daily news is only just for the last day that was simmed, and it gives you everything for that day. Including the like here it gives you how many points somebody scored in a game or something like that. So that's just kind of a one-off passing thing. That's in the daily news. The season news contains sort of the big stories for the entire season. And Breeze asks, is team news added to dashboard, or has that always been a thing? It's always been there. I'm just kind of pointing out where to find some things for some people over the course of this stream. The history page also is good for your team. So this team history, if you want a transaction list of just things your team has done, go to the history page, and then you have the transaction history, which will show you all the transactions for your team only. And obviously, if you want to see for another team, you just click on which other team you want from the side there, and then you can look at their own transaction history too. And if you haven't spent any time in the almanac or the history screens, especially once you're a couple of seasons in, I think it's a great thing to do. This one is not a season that's a couple season ins, but you've got draft history in here. You've got season recaps. It tracks your all-time wins and losses against every team. You can also look at every season that your players have played for you under the player history. And again, if I have a save I can pull up, I will. Let me see if I can find one real quick that would show off some of the history. Let's see. Yep, this one's in the 2024 season, so this one will work. So if you go and look at your team history page and you click on the player history, you'll see every player that's played for you over the course of every season that's been played. And if you just want to find a particular player, you can always use the search box over here and narrow in on one particular guy. So I definitely encourage you to spend some time in these history screens once you've gotten a few seasons in, because I think it's really, a really fun way to remember things that have happened back in your seasons. Okay, a couple more quick additions to cover this week, and then we'll be out of here. I'm going to switch over to another league that is at the free agency stage, because we've made an addition to free agency. And again, this edition was based on user feedback as well. On the free agency screen, we've always had the advanced one-day option and the advanced entire session option. So now you're going to notice there's a third option here right in the middle that says advance until bid decision. So what this will do is, if you choose obviously the advanced one day, it's only going to advance 1 day of bids and decisions and stuff like that, and puts you on the next day. So I think that, a lot of people probably like to do that and follow along each day, and maybe change things up. You might want to drop an offer. You might find, that somebody else got signed, and so there's, some money got eaten up. So you might be able to, go after another player, something like that. The advance 1 day gives you really the most control. Advance entire session is you just want to get it done with, or you've turned on the option to let the computer manage your off-season stuff, and that will just move you through the whole thing. Advance until bid decision is going to be an option where after you've made your bids, if you click on this, it will sim until one of the players that you've offered has made a decision, whether they've accepted your offer, rejected your offer, or they've signed with somebody else. So that way, if you put in for somebody you want, and that's the only player you want, and you want to wait to see what he's going to do, you can click on this option, and it might sim 3 or 4 days, it might sim 7 until he's made a decision. And then once he's made a decision, it'll break in to the sim at that point. And again, for free agency, don't forget, you can click on this latest rumors button, and there's no rumors there. I'll see if I can advance a day and find some. Bree says that's a cool update since I don't feel like simming by a day since it takes long, like if you're done offering. Exactly. If you're done, you can just click the advance the entire session button and get out of there. And Emma Non216 says, I was just thinking I wanted that. Laugh out loud. See, so we're trying to think ahead of things that you want, but I can't take full credit for this suggestion as it was made by a member on a message board. So here you go. Here's some free agency rumors. So don't forget to check this out. This doesn't give you definitive information, but it gives you some things that you can kind of use to make decisions, or at least it could be misdirections in terms of who's made the offer, how much the offer is. But these offers are here and out there, and you can use them. The rumors, I should say, you can use them in making your decisions. I mentioned options for letting the AI run some of this stuff, and some people don't know where those are. Excuse me. If you click on this little, we call it a hamburger menu up here in the left corner, there's an option that says game options, and there's a lot in here that you might want to take a look at. There's task management options, so you can allow the AI to manage your depth chart. You can allow the AI to manage your roster decisions, or you can allow the AI to manage your off-season tasks if you don't want to handle any of those particular areas. You can also change the amount of injuries that will happen, the amount of three-point attempts that will happen, and the pace adjustment factor as well. The three-point attempt factor and pace adjustment factor are really useful if you're trying to recreate a historical league. So if you want to go way back in time when they didn't even have three-point shots, you can click on the three-point attempt factor and turn it down to 0. If you want to go back and recreate the dead ball, I guess is the way you call it, period, where the Pistons were winning a championship by winning games 79 to 65, you can turn that pace adjustment factor way down and slow down the thing so that the results come up closer to any particular era that you want to sim. And if you want to go nuts and turn this thing up 10% and have some crazy super fast pace adjustment, like maybe you're trying to recreate the late 80s or something like that, where you're regularly getting games in the 130s or 140, stuff like that. You can turn that pace adjustment factor way up, and that will zoom the pace of the game up for you. There's also options here if you want to generate the game logs and look at a play-by-play type thing for each game. You can do that as well. So before we wrap it up for tonight, there is one more adjustment that I have made. And Breeze asks, what percent is the default for the factors? Let me go back to that screen. It starts on the default, so the three-point attempt factor 100%, the pace adjustment factor 0%. That will give you the modern day output. So if you are playing a historical league and using 100% and 0% for the pace adjustment, that's going to give you like a modern day outcome for those players. So if you don't want kind of a modern day style or results for players from a historical season, then you go back and make that adjustment. The last thing I've been working on, and I've been working a ton on this the past couple of days, is with the HTML. Uh, Now, the HTML is most useful for any multiplayer leagues, but you can also generate it just for yourself as well. And I will admit that the HTML output looks, up until this point, like something that was done in the 1990s, because basically it was. The HTML output has probably not been updated since like the very first version of the game, which even existed before I started Wolverine Studios and called it Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball. So the HTML has not ever gotten any love, and I've spent the last 2 or 3 days just focusing on updating all of that. So I'm gonna show that off in just a second. But before I do, I want to point out one thing. When it generates the HTML files, it tells you that it puts the reports in your league name folder, and then it creates a website folder. In order for the logos to show up inside of that website folder, you need to create a folder called images, and then you need to copy the logos that you're using and put them in that images folder. And then if you're uploading these to the internet for an online league or something like that, just you have to upload all of the files that are generated in the website folder and upload that images folder. So as long as you upload the images folder in the same location as where all the HTML files are, and you've put in your logos in there, then they'll show up properly. So if you didn't know that, I've added that as a reminder down here on the screen as well. But that is how it works in order to get them to show up online or offline. So I'm going to pull this up here and get you an opportunity to look at some of the output. You'll see that if you're familiar with what the HTML looked like before, this is a very welcome change. And you'll see that it's much more familiar to what you're actually seeing in the game now as well. So if you'll be able to click on a team, you'll see their team roster. It's got their all the designations that you're seeing on the screen in the game, even the player types, where you can roll over there and see what player types there. The stars for overall and potential, their current attitude. The team information page will give you their basic information about the city. Breeze asked, "What did I just do?" By the way, I generated the HTML output from the commissioner's office, and now I'm just showing off what that actual output is. So this is outside of the game. This is just the HTML files that are created. If you want to run a multiplayer league, or you just want to have them created for whatever reason, and to share with people, things like that. So the information page gives you the information about the draft picks, the team stats, the player contracts. There's the opportunity to see the ratings for each player. There is a depth chart mode where you can see the starting lineup and their bench depth and any injured players they have. There's the player stats, and this will give you now much more information than the HTML used to. It's got the basic stats, the shooting stats, the advanced stats, and the miscellaneous stats. And it also gives you the team schedule as well. And all of these things have links that are clickable. So you just click on any team here that you want, and it will go to their team page. You can also click on a player, and they will have a player card as well that you can upload for your leagues also. Breeze asks, "Is that the output for one team, or is it for all stuff from the league?" You can choose different options from the commissioner's office on what you want to output. I'll switch back to that here. So in order to access the HTML, you're going to go, and you can do this whether it's a multiplayer league or a solo league. You go up to the top corner and you switch from your login to the commissioner, and that brings you to this commissioner's office screen, which you can, and if you've clicked around while you're the commissioner, while you're under commissioner mode, you just click this briefcase back to go to the commissioner's office screen. So the commissioner's office screen has the HTML output options. So you can choose for box score generation to generate all the box scores, to generate box scores only for your team, or to not generate box scores. Obviously, the more stuff you're generating, the longer it will take to create the HTML. You can also decide whether you want to generate those individual player pages or not, or you can just choose to generate only your own team information if you just want that for, if you want to use that to, some people like to generate at the end of a season or whatever, and then they'll rename it and save it and kind of archive it for their own, their own benefit to look back, over time. And then you just click this generate HTML button and it will go, and it tells you right here where it's going to create those reports. And then those reports, I'll switch it back over here, look just like this. And then, again, you can, you can click on any of these players if you've generated that player card, and it's, most of the same information that exists in the game. It's not everything. The HTML is not meant to, to make it so you don't need to have the game to participate in an online league or something like that. But it obviously is helpful for, having that information posted online for online leagues, especially if you're trying to get other people to check out the league and share things, or you have people who are, new owners and they want to look around and see, what teams are available and which teams, what players are in what teams. Obviously, if you are running an online league, you need to build an online league web page, where it's going to direct people to these individual pages or to the schedule screen or something like that. But all of the pages that you need are generated for you by the game. And again, it's not all of the information because it is not meant to, it's really not meant to have people participating in online leagues but not, have a copy of the game. It's really best if everybody in the league does have a copy of the game. So that is going to wrap it up. It's amazing how fast this 30 minutes goes on our Tuesday nights here. So you've got a look at what's coming in the newest build. That new build will probably be released within a day or so. I'm going to take a look and see if there's anything else quick I want to add to it, and then I'll post that in our forums for our first access customers. I want to thank you for spending some time tonight coming to the stream again. We've got some big news that we're working on behind the scenes coming for the streams in the future, so I'll be excited to talk about that. It's a little teaser for maybe next week. We'll get into it, but so something big that we're going to try here on the Twitch channel coming pretty soon. But for right now, we're winding down the final weeks of First Access. So if you haven't pre-ordered, go to www.wolverinestudios.com right now. Get your pre-order. You'll get your license key right away. You can download the latest beta. And then we'll have this update that I took you through tonight available in a day or so for you to download and update too as well. If you're interested in our football games or our college basketball game or our golf game, you can, as you can see in the chat box, there's the option to get a free demo of those games. There will be a free demo of this game, Pro Basketball 2021, available once the game is fully released as well. So we always encourage you to try out the games before you buy them, and make sure that they're what you're looking for. So thanks everybody for coming tonight. Thank you to our subscribers especially. I really appreciate your support on the channel here. And we will look forward to talking to you next Tuesday night, same time, 7:30, as we go through some more changes, as we wrap up the first access period for Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021. And we'll be moving on to developer dynasties in the not too distant future as well for our college games. So that'll be something to look forward to too. So that'll do it for tonight. Thank you everybody for stopping by, and we'll see you next week.